Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm your host Paul Jasson. Thank you for joining us. Pleasure to be with you. And as we begin our taping down here today, beautiful day in Lancaster and Fairfield County. Of course, festival is all about what went on at the festival, and that's what all the water cooler talk is these days. So it is just a great time of the year to be in Lancaster and downtown. So many things continuing to go all summer with the bandstand behind us and everything that goes on there. Our first guest today is, haven't had her on for a while, Susan Nixon Stoughton. First of all, Susan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you on. Susan is the executive director of the Lighthouse, and I will say that there were quite a few years when I would hear about the Lighthouse, but I actually didn't know, and maybe thankfully, but I didn't know what they did. And now in the past, say, 10 years, I've become more fully engaged in what they do, and you're doing the Lord's work over there. There is no doubt about it. And so tell us, from your perspective, what is the Lighthouse?
There's some confusion out there, so it's a great question to lead with. We are not a homeless shelter, and
Sure.
many times people
Sure.
feel that is our mission. We receive funding to provide domestic violence services throughout Fairfield County. So unlike other shelters who may not have individual units like we do, we can help both men and women. A lot of people don't think about men being in domestic violence situations. We definitely, I would say that they're a very small percentage of the clients that we serve, but in the year that I have been with the organization, there have been a couple of men that have come through.
Sure.
So basically, to answer your question, we do deliver domestic violence services. We focus on Fairfield County, but there are times, much like if we cannot ensure the safety of a client because the abuser has found them and is driving by the shelter and threatening them, we will move them to another county. We do the same thing with other counties that call us if they can't ensure the safety.
And that's the contiguous ones around us.
Usually,
you
yes.
work with them.
Yes. We have had strange things happen where we've had a client come as far as 3 or 4 counties away because it was the only way to ensure their safety. So, no 2 days are ever alike in the world of domestic violence.
I'm sure when you come in every day, it's just, if it hasn't happened before 8 o'clock, it will happen because things change.
The communication log is something that we kind of live and die by at the shelter because we do have people there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's our way to be able to let everybody know what's happened on the shift prior to you coming in.
So what is the eligibility criteria for someone to be able to go to the Lighthouse?
Those are sometimes some of the unpopular decisions that we have to deal with on a day in and day out basis. The first thing is, as far as somebody finding out where we are and just showing up, we don't bring clients in that way. We have to ask clients to call and do a crisis call prior to ever being brought into shelter.
Kind of a clearinghouse kind of situation. Yeah.
Exactly. We are, and the way domestic violence shelters are set up, we're not a transitional housing shelter. We are for immediate needs. So should a client call and they say that their abuser was just arrested and put into jail, they're not in immediate danger because their abuser is in jail.
Okay.
So now if we get the call that the abuser is going to court and with everything that they've been told, the expectation is that they'll be released today, then that's a different story.
So it's that immediate sense of perhaps violence or perhaps something bad happening to them or the kids. That's when you guys come into
Exactly.
it. Okay.
And again, that makes us unpopular because people don't understand that. But we only have 6 rooms.
Yeah.
And we had a situation not so long ago where we had a mother with several children call. And we didn't have the room to bring her in. So at that point in time, we're put in a situation of giving her referrals to contact domestic violence shelters that maybe whether it's Athens County or Pickaway County, because we didn't have the room to bring her in, which is why, one of the reasons why we don't have people just do drop-ins and stop to see us, because we are very limited in space, and there are many times we're full and we couldn't bring them in anyway. But if the situation is that volatile, many times the abuser could be following them, and the last thing we want is our cover blown, even though we have all kinds of items in place to protect us with security systems and camera systems and the incredible help of Lancaster Police and Fire. They are extremely good to us, and if we make a call, I can tell you that they respond immediately with full force, because
Sure.
they recognize we don't call
Sure.
just to call and say hey.
Right.
So there's just a lot that goes into how it's best to bring someone in, even to the point where, let's say that you were to call, you go through the crisis call, and we have determined that we need to bring you in. There could be up to a 24-hour window before you come in, and that could be because the abuser is home or expected to be home soon, and maybe the best way to handle that would be to wait until the abuser goes to work to give them an opportunity to be able to make that clean break to come to us. So maybe the time to come in to best protect the client isn't immediately.
And that's, I guess, what it's all about. Yeah.
And once the client arrives, then immediately we start working on their safety plan. Because even going out into the community and trying to continue their normal life cycle, bad idea, because the abuser knows their routine.
Unprotected.
So we need to make sure that they mix their routine up. And maybe if they came in on a Saturday and they're used to going to a church service at 9 o'clock, don't go that day. Or go to a different service where the abuser would never expect you to be there. So we have to immediately start working with the client to have them come up with a safety plan. Because most of the time, we're not only trying to protect the client, we're trying to protect their children.
Sure.
So there's a lot on the line.
And, it just makes the wheels spin. I can think of certainly many occasions, even in a small town like Lancaster, where things have happened at a business, at a restaurant, at some public place where somebody has gone in and confronted somebody else over this issue, and because they knew they were going to be there, perhaps breakfast after church or something.
Exactly.
And that's, I guess, what you're trying to prevent.
Well, and even to those clients that, as we sit in a bank, when I started a year ago, we had a client go into a bank. Her abuser was in the car, and she had the wherewithal to let a teller know
Nice.
that she is in danger. So the president of the bank came out, pulled her to safety, contacted us in the police department, because we had to make sure that we, and I can't even say we as much as the bank having the wherewithal to say we can't send her back out in that car.
No.
So you never know where someone might raise their hand and say, I need help. And it's people in the community knowing that, okay, I hear you, and we need to do what we can to protect you.
Our guest is Susan Nixon Stoughton. Susan is the executive director of the Lighthouse, and that's kind of what we're hearing the story about, kind of what it is not. That's important to know. Now, if someone does think they need those services, is it 911 they call, or is there another number they call? What's best?
So if somebody calls and the abuser is there and it's a volatile situation, the very first call they need to make is 911.
Yeah.
They need to get law enforcement involved, whether it's in the county, whether it's in the city, it doesn't matter. They need to ensure their protection and that of their children. At the point in time that somebody calls the crisis line, and that number is 740-687-4423, the very first question anybody on the phone will ask is, are you in a safe place? If they are not, if they hear any type of activity in the background, or the person is very much concerned about that abuser coming back, we advise them to call 911, and once the situation has been deemed safe, then call us. So, we do what we can. There are times we will get calls from Fairfield Medical Center because perhaps somebody has ended up there through a medic and they need to get them through to a crisis call because they need to be released and then come to us.
Sure.
So it's any number of ways that somebody can reach out to us. Our job is to make sure that we are protecting them, and if there are children involved, they're children.
So somebody has made the cut, they're in your protective custody now, they're in your services. What does the Lighthouse provide for an individual and or children?
So immediately it is making sure that we have come up with a safety plan. That's first and foremost. Then certainly they have room and board, so they have that soft place to land, a bed, a pillow, all the things that are important. Food. If they need clothing, we do the very best that we can do to make sure that, we have some items that we keep on hand, but then as soon as we can hook up with an agency in town, many times St. Peter's Lutheran Church, they have a clothing ministry, and we can call them even on a day that they wouldn't normally be open and say, look, we have a client that really needs help. And many agencies throughout Lancaster and Fairfield County are good to us like that because they leave literally with the clothes they have on their back. Then we can work with them and through law enforcement once we start getting those protections in place to try to retrieve their clothing and things that are important to them. But sometimes that doesn't happen overnight, and we need to fill in until we can safely get them the protection orders. Something else that's very important to know, the Lighthouse employs 4 court advocates, and what we do is work with clients to make sure that we are getting temporary protection orders immediately, and then we can get more into those long-term protection orders to ensure their safety. So we also work, we have case managers, and they work with making sure that we can get them involved, whether it's Job and Family Services, whomever they need to become involved with, to make sure that financially they have a little bit of money, to make sure that they can start a life over again.
You mentioned the court advocacy and the case managers. We've only got a minute or so left. You also have some counseling services available.
We do. We recently
Recovery Center.
Yes, we recently actually came into a partnership with them last November, and they provide counseling to us. And the cool part about this, and again, it's talking about those local agencies that truly assist one another. They actually employ the counselors, but they're placed within our shelter. So many of our clients no longer have access to transportation, so it's not like they have to worry about how they're going to get from point A to point B. The counselors are right there in the shelter. However, when they do need transportation, that's part of what our case management does, and we will make sure that they get to doctor's appointments or wherever it is that they may need to go, that, until we can get them used to how public transportation works and know that they're safe to use public transportation, then we make sure that we can provide that transportation for them. So it's truly, I guess a good way to look at it is, it's that embracing hug that once they come in, we're going to make sure that soup to nuts, we're doing everything we can for them to get them the help that they need.
Good information on the Lighthouse and Susan Nixon Stoughton. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back in a moment.
The Frank E. Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our 2 locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster or 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. I'm your host, Paul Jass, and thank you for joining us. Appreciate Susan Nixon Stoughton talking a pretty, difficult situation there with the Lighthouse. A lot going on, a lot of good information to have and to file away and get some numbers. If anybody would ever need that, it's good to know that it's out there and how you would access them if you would need to do that. We'll lighten things up here in a little bit and talk about some more fun things around Fairfield County. I want to thank the good people here at Fairfield Federal as we move through this final week of the festival. Gosh, a lot going on. Our live shows downtown, everything happening. The big Kansas thing is coming up this weekend. So, just tons of stuff happening in Lancaster and Fairfield County. Fairfield Federal, part of the Art Walk, they've got the art displayed here now. You can walk in any day and see the beautiful artwork that was available to be seen on Art Walk Friday, and now all week is available here. You can come and look at it as you can any of the other venues downtown where there was art. So we encourage you to stop in, and if you want to see the artwork here at Fairfield Federal, just stop in. It's all displayed up and down the aisles here. You can see it at your convenience, and stop in and take a look. That's why it's here. They enjoy having you come in and see it. Well, we talked about Lancaster and Fairfield County, no lack of lots of things going on, and hard to believe right now it's all about the festival, but there are other things after the festival, and that never lets up here in Lancaster and Fairfield County. We've got so many events going on. We've got the young lady that will give us the update on many of these events, Fran Taburzio. Fran, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Good, thank you. Fran is the marketing director for Visit Fairfield County, Ohio. Am I close?
Visit Fairfield County. Yep.
I still tend to go back to the VCB days, but you're the same thing, only different. That's what my dad would say. Same thing, only different. And speaking of different, gosh, you got a new location.
We do. We love it. We're at 158 West Wheeling. Folks might remember that as Sparkle and Rust.
Right around the corner here from us, just a block away.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, right in the heart of downtown.
Yeah. So you moved in, everything is up and running, and
we're settling ourselves, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of a transition time.
It is, and there's always a lot of stuff going on, so you don't have time to really just focus on unpacking and organizing and doing all the things that you need to do after you move.
You don't have all those days off to get acclimated,
Exactly.
Especially festival time, and now with what we'll be talking about here,
Right.
Always a busy time for you
Yes, lots
folks.
of stuff going on.
So it's visit fairfieldcountyohio.org. That's your website. All this that we'll be talking about today will be accessible. But the reason I was talking to Fran, just ran into her a couple of weeks ago, and just talking about some things coming up, and lo and behold, this turned out to be a great time to have her on. This is something that is pretty much unbeknownst to me. I'm not a person that's into all this, so I'll appreciate your expertise on this.
Okay.
It's a Wand and Wizards weekend in Lancaster and beyond, and it's coming up August 1st through the 3rd. What is going on here?
This is a huge thing.
That's what you said. It's huge.
Yeah, last year we did something we called Potterpalooza to celebrate the 20th birthday of Harry Potter, if you
Sure,
will.
sure.
And we had thousands of people from 15 different states who came to Lancaster and celebrated this thing. So
I lead such a sheltered life. I just don't know what goes on. That's why I have people like you who are hip and know what happens.
Oh, we're hip, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this is a really big deal, and people are real serious about this stuff. And we decided we would be a little bit more inclusive by opening up and saying Wands and Wizards rather than just focusing on Harry Potter,
Sure.
because there's way more out there that people are
Right.
interested
Is
in.
this that whole Dungeons and Dragons kind of
That
expertise?
can be involved in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that can be
Okay.
involved in it too. So we've got a lot of different events that are going to be part of this weekend.
It's amazing.
We're kicking it off in Pickerington. There's going to be a Harry Pottery party at Combustion, the
Pottery
loft
party.
over
Nice.
Combustion. It'll be a lot of art and wand making and
Yeah.
the candy store and all that stuff. And it'll be decorated fabulously. And about 150 people can come to that. And then we'll have the museum in Pickerington is going to have a magical scavenger hunt in the afternoon, and then there's going to be a Wands and Wizards ball, also in the loft at Combustion on Thursday evening. And then a lot of the activities will move to Lancaster and beyond.
And beyond.
On Friday and Saturday. So we'll have classes and hands-on activities. First Presbyterian Church is going to do wand making workshops, and all the merchants downtown will have specials, and it's really exciting. It's really exciting.
Just looking at some of the events, and I'm sure this is just some of them, and you've mentioned some. You've got live music, you've got the wand making hands-on stuff, scavenger hunts, wizards classes, costume contests, bar crawl, food and drink specials. Sounds like something just everybody, if you're into this, this is your 3 days here.
And even if you're not into it, it's a lot of fun. Last year, I was amazed just to look down the streets of downtown and see all the people in costumes walking around.
Really?
It was so cool. And we put chalk out on the sidewalk, and people colored and wrote little sayings on the sidewalk. It's really cool. And there's stuff for little kids, and there's stuff for older people too, and everything in between.
So a Wizard's Quest interactive game.
Yes.
It is a GPS-based virtual scavenger hunt.
Yeah, so there will be like clues on your phone. You use your phone, and there are different locations downtown that we picked to have them find something at those
Scavenger,
locations.
yeah.
Yeah. But it's all GPS based, so it's really cool. And people, that way, if you can't get into the wand making class, you still have something fun and free that you can do.
So this is your first one, so your expectation is it's going to be really big based on what you saw last year.
Yeah, it's going to be really big.
So people don't need reservations or anything for this.
There are some classes that you have to have advanced
sure.
registration, but all of those events are on our Facebook page.
Right.
Wands and Wizards Weekend in Lancaster and Beyond is our Facebook page, and you can go there and see all the events that we have so far, and you can click on the button and go and make your reservations.
Sure, nice. So I imagine this will be, again, another great opportunity for the city downtown, especially but for Pickerington and Bremen and I guess Baltimore and Carroll. Mm-hmm. Everybody's involved. I guess that's the Beyond part of it all.
Right.
Geez, a big weekend for I guess restaurants and perhaps bars and hotels. Gosh, it could be very advantageous.
And the shops are selling special magical merchandise.
This is their weekend.
Yeah, this is it.
Oh, well, this will be great fun. So it's Wand and Wizards Weekend, and it's in Lancaster and Beyond is the title of this, August 1st through the 3rd. You can go on their website and visit fairfieldcountyohio.org or their Facebook page. That's Wands and Wizards Weekend in Lancaster and Beyond. That's the Facebook name. All the information's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We try to put it all in one place.
Sure.
Make it easy for visitors.
Fran Taberzio is with us. She is a marketing director for Visit Fairfield County, Ohio. And as I think last week I had on Colin Hedico from Destination Downtown and asked him the same question. There is life after the festival.
Absolutely.
Everything has been geared for so many months. Oh, it's coming, it's here, and and it is here, and it's incredible, and it's quite a 10-day period here in Lancaster, Fairfield County. But like you were talking about, not having time to unpack, the beat goes on for you.
Oh, yeah.
Even during and after that, you can't drop everything to do all festival all the time. We talked about the Wizards Weekend coming up. And so that's in August. That'll be your big August thing, among other things. But then comes September, and I was amazed that you said that this is the first one that you've ever had, a covered bridge festival with the way covered bridges are here in Fairfield County.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is amazing that we haven't done this before, but it's time now to do it.
What a natural event.
So we have, in Fairfield County, we have more original covered bridges than any other place in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
And we have people who come from all over the world to see our covered bridges. So we decided, let's take advantage of that. Yeah. Let's bring some more people in and show them, what covered bridges are all about. So we're going to do this festival September 14th and 15th at Alley Park. There's the George S. Hutchins covered bridge right there, so people will be able to explore the covered bridge.
For this.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we'll have live music, we'll have food, we'll have artisans doing demonstrations, we'll have all kinds of vendors set up, kids' activities, a festival.
Tell me about dinner on a bridge.
That is something that we've seen in other places. Some places that only have one covered bridge, they do a dinner on the bridge, and it's a big, elaborate, popular thing, so why wouldn't we do it? So we're going to do that on the Zeller-Smith Bridge in Pickerington.
Okay.
Because, again, this is a county event.
Sure.
So we'll kick it off on dinner on a bridge, on the Zeller-Smith Bridge in Pickerington and Sycamore Park.
So I assume for that you would need a reservation.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a limited number of people who can fit on the bridge.
Get on your website, find all that out.
50 people only.
Okay,
so
50.
It's a big deal.
Need a bigger bridge.
We need a bigger bridge.
Bridge. Then I saw where you have a motor coach tour where you're going to travel around and look at covered bridges. That is going to be very neat.
We've done that a couple times, and we sell out every time. So we'll do one on Saturday and one on Sunday.
Okay. And you hit them all?
No, we don't hit them all because we get out of the bus and go up. And I tell stories about something that happened on the bridge, and so it takes some time to do that.
And then I can remember the Paul Bunyan Festival down in Nelsonville at the college down there. I remember when that would be on. It used to be on ESPN 8 or something like that. It was such an event. But you're going to do something. Sunday, it'll be the Lancaster Lumberjack and Jill Challenge. Is that similar to the Paul Bunyan?
Yes, it is. There'll be all kinds of logging activities, and people can sign up so they can be part of it. And that's why we're calling it a Lumberjack and Jill. We want women to participate too.
So all kind of Paul Bunyan-esque kind of events out there.
Climbing poles and the
Right,
trees and
right. A lot going
log
on.
rolling in the water and all that stuff. And that's
Covered
with Rise
Bridge.
Realty too.
Okay. Covered Bridge Festival, September 14th and 15th down at Alley Park. Again, a tremendous venue for so many events.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this will be perfect for you guys down there. Dinner on a bridge, music, vendors, artisans, games and kids activities. So very family oriented.
Very
for all
much.
this.
Yeah. And we're going to try to have live music the entire festival. And it's free.
Yeah.
So come and,
Yeah.
Bring your family and your friends.
No reservations needed for any of that other than a dinner on a bridge. Again,
And the Covered Bridge tours.
and the covered bridge tours because that's a limited amount.
Right.
So it's a visit, fairfieldcountyohio.org. You can find all the information on there. What's your office number if they need to call?
740-654-5929.
And when you call, you'll be calling at 158 West Wheeling, your new venue down there. It's really be happening down there.
Yeah.
I want to thank Fran for being with us today. Gosh, you guys have got so much going on. It's the festival, but there is life after the festival,
Always.
at least for August and September.
For us, it never stops.
I was going to say, same for you. It's just the beat goes on.
Yes,
Fran
exactly.
Taburzio from the Visit Fairfield County, Ohio Convention Bureau, and just tell us so much about what's going on here in Lancaster, Fairfield County. Fran, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure to have her on. Thank you for joining us in Fairfield today.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and the Frankie Smith Funeral Home.